But I don't think people realize that we are per capita #1 in the state of Texas for manufacturing, and what we actually have here, where it goes and what it does. That's fascinating to me. That's always fascinating. And so one of the things that we've started is we take the council and then some of our staff, and they get to go in the manufacturers so they can see what's happening and get an idea so they can become ambassadors and tell people about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? And if you ever did Leadership Seguin, you'd get to go and see
I would
too.
get to do that. Now, do I have to actually live in Seguin to do it?
No, you do not.
Really?
Mm-mm.
So I live.
Even you could do it.
Even me.
Even you could do it.
Do it.
You would learn. I'll never forget. I was in the 3rd class, Leadership Seguin, and I was in the class with a gentleman who'd been born and raised here, probably 4th or 5th generation here.
Yeah.
And he looked at me one day and he goes, "I've learned things I didn't even know were here."
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Discover Seguin. I'm your host, David Pope, and today we are very fortunate to have here in our studio the mayor of Seguin, Donna Dodgen. Mayor Dodgen, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. This is really exciting, to be honest with you. For Seguin to have a podcast is pretty darn exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, it's
right.
exciting.
I mean, this is, and you're saying it now. This is official, right? This is the Seguin podcast.
That's right. Actually, I believe so. Yes, and I think it's a great idea. I think we should do it more often. I wish many of us did it because I think it's an incredible way to communicate for different audiences.
Yeah,
you know, just people can pick and choose how they want to do it. And I'm old enough where I think there's one way, and then I think, oh my gosh, there's people a lot younger than me that look at things way differently than I do.
Well, you know, and I'll just be really transparent, right? I mean, part of the reason for this podcast, you know, I'm not originally from Seguin,
Right.
But obviously I have a huge vested interest here with our agency, and we love the community, and we've been here for 114 years as a business. And we just thought, you know, we really need to find out more about our community. We need to be invested in our community. And we know that because Seguin is growing, much like a number of other cities in Texas, you know, it's really important that a lot of people get to hear, you know, some of the stuff about these communities that, you know, that they're entering into, that they, you know, they don't have the history. They don't have the timeline with it that would help them know, you know, what's what, who's who, and why things are the way they are.
I think, too, what's important is people who might want to come here, whether it be businesses, whether it be families, whether it be individuals, whether they're coming because we're within a close range for other pieces of their family. I think it's important for them. They're going to Google us. They're going to look at us. I would.
Absolutely.
Even today, I would. And so I think this is just another piece where they can watch something and figure out, oh, is that where I want to be? Is that not where I want to be? How could I plug in? So I think it's an incredible idea. So thank you.
Well, we love doing it. I'm learning a ton about the community, and hopefully other people are learning right along with me. You know, we're just getting to meet lots of neat folks and learn things about, you know, what a great community we have. And not to knock other communities. I mean, it's just,
No, everybody's
unique.
unique.
We have such great things here in Seguin, and I think it's worth celebrating them.
I appreciate that. So thank you for doing this.
Well, good.
The Seguin podcast.
The Seguin podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me now, can I call you Donna?
Please.
So Donna, you have been mayor now for how long?
A term and a bit. So we can serve 2 4-year terms. We have term limits, and I'm in my 2nd 4-year term, and I'll be a year in November.
Okay.
So then I have 3 more years, and then I'm done.
So are you thinking, thank God we have term limits, or man, I love serving this.
I love serving this community. I feel it's very honored. I also think there's a time and a place when things are done and complete. Do I think 8 years is enough? It took me 3 or 4 just to really learn what I was doing. I found something on my desk today, and I thought, I know I've seen this before, but I have no clue what to do with this.
Yeah.
And so it would seem like 12 would be great, but that's a long time in somebody's life. 3 4-year terms is a long time in somebody's life. And so I totally understand it, but it does take a while for things to get rolling and you to understand things. And so people often ask me, I want to be mayor. And I'll say, then we need to get you involved. You need to get involved in committees. You need to get involved in service in the community to learn about it. Then you need to sit on council, because I think you would do yourself and the community a disservice by going in cold, because it's going to take you such a longer time to learn.
Gotcha.
Your learning curve is going to be a lot harder for staff and a lot harder for you. And our community is changing so rapidly that pause is probably not the best thing for us.
Yeah.
So.
Now, one thing we've heard, and you could probably attest to this as well, from other councilmen, David Eva was here, and he was so impressed with our staff and just how knowledgeable they are, and not only that, how much they were willing to just help council members and you as mayor to understand the functioning of the city and everything. So
I say this all the time. I say that we change. We're elected officials. We change. They're consistent. We have long-term staff. We have a lot of long-term staff, and that's good. It can be good and bad depending on how you choose to look at it. I think when they do leave, an attrition, to work on attrition is very important. And I know Steve Parker is doing that, our city manager, to take us to that next level, because we are changing and growing, and we're not the same as we were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I know that's being worked on, but the staff is what's consistent. They're the experts. We all have other lives. We're doing other things. This is of love and of service. And it is public service. So we have to rely and be open and honest and trust them. And so that relationship has to be built. And they work really, really hard on that, because they're aware of that. Their jobs are easier if our job is easier.
So you marry that institutional knowledge, that long-term institutional knowledge with elected leadership.
Right. And that's why it's important to get involved already and kind of be aware of what's happening in the community, and then do service, some sort of service within the community, some sort of service with council, and then on council. It's not necessary, but it does make it that attrition and that institutional knowledge a little bit easier, because you're not just being flooded, and it's just a different way of looking at things. It's like if I came into your business to do it, I work in healthcare, so oh my gosh, that's a totally different world. City is a totally different world than my healthcare, and so you're learning a different system, a different language.
Right. So tell me a little bit about, I guess let's talk a little bit about yourself here. This is not a full-time gig as
No, but it could be. And sometimes I think it is, but no.
Yeah.
It's not a full-time position. We are a city manager-run government, so Steve Parker truly runs the city. We set policy and budget and hire some folks. But I also work full-time. That's because I need insurance and money. I say that all the time. I need insurance and I need money. So I work at a small long-term acute care rehab hospital.
Okay.
In Luling, Texas, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Because we are regional. A lot of us travel for work.
Sure.
Our workers come in from different places. I always use Luling as a good example, because I'd say probably 90% of the people that I work with don't live there. We live surrounding.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is. And that's the way it is, honestly, a lot here, too.
It is the way here.
I think a lot of people are living here, but I also think that our manufacturers, I think that our businesses, that our customers, we rely on people within a 45-minute radius.
Yes. In fact, I think we have, during my 6-year tenure here at the agency, we have more people now who, as a percentage, that live in Seguin than we've had in a very long time. Yeah,
Correct.
That's a change.
Right. And I think we're seeing that happen. Yeah. But it wasn't always that way. And I think that what's attractive to manufacturers, to businesses, and to industry is that we do sit in a region, and that our region is so accessible.
Yeah.
So that makes our workforce pool much larger, much more advantageous.
They need a few more lights on 46, though.
Well, and once we get our parkway, that won't be an issue. So you're good.
Boy,
but I'm not sure you and I will be alive during that time. Just saying.
Well, that is entirely possible.
I remember living through I-35 south, San Antonio, and going south. And when that was built, I lived in Austin when MOPAC was done. Oh. And I'm like, I have vivid memories of those. And not too long ago, I was in Austin, and I went to Blanco. And I went down 71 and 290, and what they're doing, there's a cement plant in the middle of the road, because they're creating
to build the road.
It builds a road. Yeah. There's a cement plant. That is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to quit whining about 46. I'm going to quit whining about I-10, and I'm going to quit whining about 123, because it could be a lot worse.
could be Austin.
It could be a cement plant in the middle of the road.
Yes.
And we don't. So, yeah, it was interesting. But anyway, so I work there. I have for 17 years, I guess, maybe a little more.
Okay.
And I just love it. It's 34 beds. It's small. It's like not like our hospital, but I did start out here and it was much smaller. But I really love it. I like helping people and working with people and
Well,
that
that's
sort of
awesome.
thing. Yeah.
So tell me, kind of getting back to Seguin here, actually, I'm going to stop us there. I'm going to go back. So just carrying on one other little thing. I happen to, and part of my research, I sit here and I look people up on social media and things of that nature. And, there was one thing that I noticed when I ran across yours, I come across these little dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Dodgen is big on her little dog.
I do. I love my children. I've always had dogs. I was raised out in the middle of nowhere and raised where the dogs were outside. Pop didn't believe that they should be in the house. And that was fine. But as soon as I, of course, got out on my own, they came in the house and came in my bedroom and came in my bed. and so I just love them. And I've always had hounds. Don't ask me why, because they're friggin' hard-headed.
Okay.
But I've always had hounds, and so I had dachshunds, and then I got kind of into the rescue mode because people would say, "Oh, you don't have enough because our legal limit's 4, and I might only have 2. You have room for 2 more, and I can't take care of these." So I just came into kind of this whole rescue world. I mean, I'll tell you a story that was really funny. We had a pair that was married. We had a shower. You don't want to know all that. But anyway, we had all this stuff for them. And they passed away. And so I took them to be cremated. And when I went to pick up the remains at our vet's office, there had been a breeder that a lot of dogs had been rescued from out of Corpus Christi.
Mm-hmm.
And about 7 or 8 of them were at my vet's office to be vetted and to be looked at. So I go home with 2 dead dogs in one hand and 2 live dogs in the other hand. So that's kind of my dog story. Yeah. So I'm carrying ashes in one hand. I have 2 dogs that are scared to death, bless their little hearts. They need to be fostered. So, of course, then they became failed fosters because they just stayed with us. They just stayed at my house. And so, and then we were working on the Seguin Dog Park, my husband and I at that point in time, and we were working with a young woman who worked with Paws in Prison, which is a woman, it's a program in drug and alcohol prison in Lockhart, Texas. It's a woman's drug and alcohol prison, and every 2 inmates have a dog that they train.
Really?
It's an incredible program, and it's because that most of those women have children, so they treat that dog as a child. That dog stays with them. They learn a skill. They get to love, and so they had a dog. There was a dog that she just knew, the director just knew would be good for us, and it was a basset hound. And his name was Kramer. And Kramer kept failing training. He wasn't failing. Those girls loved him to death.
Yeah.
But he was failing training. And so
he was getting spoiled out of training, probably.
He was a rotten dog. Anyway, so then he came to our house.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. So we got Kramer. So Kramer and Molly came at the same time because I'd lost 2. And so Kramer and Molly came at the same time. So then that was 3 weenies and a basset hound. And so now I have 2 weenies and a basset hound that are all rescues too. Yes, someone's probably going to say something because I had some work done on my house and I get a picture from my contractor and he says, "Are the dogs supposed to be on the roof?" Because they had gotten on the roof.
How did they get on? I
have a spiral staircase that had a deck roof and a deck at the roof, and I'd taken the railing had come off to do some work, and I didn't think to stop it up. It never dawned on me they'd climb up the spiral staircase. So I get a picture from the contractor. "Are your dogs supposed to be on the roof?" And I'm like, "Well, no, they're not supposed to be on the roof." So he builds a little ramp, and down they come.
Oh, how funny.
It was so funny. Everybody in creation has made fun of me for that. Like, PETA's going to come.
We need a picture of that.
Oh, I have one.
You should share that picture.
No, I don't think so. It's on Facebook. So yes, I do love my children. They are my dogs and my children, and I often house sit for dogs as well. It's kind of the way of the world.
Oh, well, good. I may need to get your address before it cuts them to drop off.
It's just, come on. It doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with it. I love them. They have the rule of the roost. They know that they're never going to go anywhere, so they can do whatever they want.
Good. Well, so tell me, let's kind of get back to shift gears a little bit and talk a little more about Seguin, and tell me, right now, what's going on that's just burning up you're just so excited about you can hardly sit still about it.
I think the interest in Seguin,
Yeah.
the growth, whether you're positive or negative about it, we have available land, we're affordable, people are selling things, like it or not, that's what's happening. And so we're having more and more people move here, so we have more disposable income. So the numbers are more attractive to industry, businesses, restaurants, that sort of thing. So, so that's really exciting that people are excited about us. They
Yeah.
see us for who we are. They see us that we are real, that we're authentic, that we're historical, that we're special, that we have an incredible downtown. People are
Well, we
seeing
really
that.
do.
We talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think part of us want to keep it that way. I know we all do want to keep it that way, and we want
Yeah.
to keep it enclosed. And how we do that, and I've said this over and over again, and how we do that, how we keep it Seguin, is we include people and we pull them in and we have them do stuff and we get them involved. Because once they're involved, then they just become a part of our community and a part of the family. It doesn't really change us. It just becomes more of us, if that makes
They
any
get to
sense.
own the history too, rather than being kind of excluded from it.
Become a part
Yeah.
of. Or how can I change it to fit what I need?
Yeah.
They kind of drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And so I think that's that's my take on it, is we pull them in, let's get them here, let's get them involved and to do things. And that's why I think the Citizens Police Academy, Citizens Fire Academy, the Citizens University, the Sheriff's Academy is doing, the leadership group is so important, because you get to see why it's important. You get to see where you can fit in and what you can do, and you immediately begin doing service work and doing things. And I think that's what you see, what's available
Yeah.
to be a part of. And so I think that's a really big deal. And so I'm very excited about that, because that just means we have the things that people want. We're attractive to maybe, so we don't have to leave so much, but we have the availability to leave and go out and do other things in other places if we want, which is quite creative and quite a lot of fun. But we also have things that we can use and have here and do everything here. I haven't done any Christmas shopping online. Well, that may not be a total truth. Most of it online or anywhere else other than Seguin in years.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then again, we don't have any children and we don't have a really big family. So, and most of them want money. So, but honestly, most of the things I buy are here.
Yeah.
I mean, I may go to art shows and do things like that elsewhere, but that's the kind of fun things to do.
Sure.
To kind of get out of town just a little bit and see things. But I think we have a lot here, and I'm constantly amazed about what we have, the new businesses, like the entrepreneurship that people have and what they're doing, whether it be the dog sitting, whether it be yard work, whether it be the photography areas. People are being really creative and seeing that we have enough people now that they can do something and do what they want to do and follow their dreams. That's pretty exciting.
Well, rooftops are important, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And of course, that's what most of the developers are looking at, right? I mean,
And jobs.
Jobs for sure.
Money.
Yeah. They need to make sure that there's going to be money here to be able to be spent in their,
Right.
any kind of retail development is always contingent upon those things.
And it's
right?
hard to explain to people, in all honesty, that they have a matrix and a business plan just like anybody
Right.
else. And if they can't make money and make where they want to be, they're not going to come.
Right.
And it makes sense
For sure it does.
when you think about
Yeah.
it. It's hard to explain because it's like, well, I want that. Well, yeah, but one person's not going to make for a business.
I'm just not going to eat quite that much Chick-fil-A all by myself.
Right. Or I'm not going to go into that coffee shop all by myself. I need
Right.
more customers throughout the day, spread out throughout the week,
Right.
to make it functional and to make it work. And so people all the time talk about, well, I can't believe we have that. This has happened. This is coming. We already have 3 of those. Well, apparently the business model works and it's successful, or they wouldn't, and they're staying open. So someone's shopping and doing things there.
We need
So,
more barbecue places.
yeah. Well, we
We
are in the
have the
we
best barbecue in
that's
the
right.
world, and we're getting even more of it, and that's
And
great.
well, and you know, what's incredible is we sit in an area that's like barbecue mecca,
Yeah.
and we're capitalizing on that.
I
And that's
in a really impactful way.
it's kind of impressive.
You
You
know,
could do a whole
yes.
trail, and I meet people all the time who go, "Oh, I've gone to the on a t we're like following a little trail."
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, come on. Thank you for doing that. Come back and
Yeah.
see us, spend a little time, and then move on to the next one. That's perfect."
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It's fun. It's fun to
It
watch and
is.
listen.
This is this community, you know, it's interesting. It has a lot of different reputations,
It
you
does.
know, from a lot of past, some good, some bad,
Mhm.
some, you know, but
We are a living, breathing community. We're a living, breathing hometown.
yeah. And really growing so fast. And I think, you know, there have been some really good things of late that have made, you know, some really big inroads. You know, I think Steve Parker and his administration he's been phenomenal. You know, I think a lot of the work that has made this downtown area so vibrant has been fantastic. You know, and then you know, the new sheriff and
Mhm.
his focus on, you know, trying to claim kind of that one little blighted
Right.
spot that's kind of hung around, though I think it probably gets more attention than it deserves in some respects in the sense that I don't think it's been as bad as some people as the reputation has been,
No,
you know,
I don't
and
think it
so
and I think too that I think openness and transparency is always a good thing.
yeah.
It may seem like it, increases the numbers, but I think it's just being open and transparent.
And I think that's fantastic. I mean, I
Uh,
think when we can be honest and transparent about those things, we can deal with them.
exactly.
You know, we can deal with the trafficking
Right.
issues. We can deal with the drug issues and other things if we just kind of
The family violence,
absolutely. Yeah.
the child abuse, we can deal with all of that. Um,
And we have great organizations here that work in all of those areas.
And
You
I
know,
wanna
do
pull those
tremendous work.
together. We're working really hard. That's something else to be proud of is pulling all of those together to say, "We have all of these things." Does everyone know what we have available? Does everyone know that we have communities and schools, that we have Big Brothers Big Sisters, that, you know, that we have a family violence shelter, Thriving Hearts, that we have a children's advocacy center? We have those things and those resources, and we're utilizing them more and more. And I think, there's places for people to get really involved and to help our community be better. Because I say this all the time, that we're only as healthy as our community is healthy. If we're not healthy as a community, then we're truly not healthy, and we deserve the best, and we deserve that next level. Um, and and Steve and I talk about this all the time about how can we make it work? You know, not necessarily a no. There are no's in our world.
Hmm.
I mean, murder is a no. There are no's in our
Yeah.
world, but the bottom line is how can we make things work? It may not be smooth and it may not be pretty, but how can we make it work for the best of all? And so I think that's helped a lot. You know, we're a living, breathing organism, and there's change that has happened, and it'll happen again in another 10, 15 years. And, you know, as our census changes, things things are going to happen, and we just have to adapt and move with them. And I think that's a big change that has occurred is that that's okay to do. That's okay to be that flexibility to bop and weave and to change as we need to change. That it's not permanent. If I make a decision right now, I really it may take a little time, but we can change it.
Yeah.
We set a rule, we can change it.
So we talked about, you know, kind of bringing in new people and letting them, you know, kind of take ownership and kind of become part of the
Mhm.
community rather than always feeling like outsiders. You know, tell me something that you think is one of those things that everybody should know, but they probably don't know about Seguin.
Wow, what would that be? Everyone knows how historical we are. Um, I I think, what don't they know? Let me think, let me think, let me think, let me think. I think that a lot of people don't have a clue about what our manufacturers do and the quality and the technology of our manufacturers. I think that a lot of people think I know you wanted something probably sexier than this, but I think a lot of people think that our manufacturers are like line people or the old-timey factory workers,
Right.
when it's not. We have high-end robotics. We have companies that send things all around the world. We have a company where every truck that's manufactured by a certain manufacturer has something in it from Seguin, Texas.
Wow.
We send things all around the world. We have a company who developed a product when the war began with all the desert issues. We devised a device that helped them keep their electronics safe for longer in Seguin, Texas.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
there are certain, so I think, and I don't know that a lot of manufacturers want people to know that, but
Yeah.
the high end and the high techness of what we're doing is phenomenal, and where everything is going and what we're sending and the customers that are coming in for those sorts of
But
things.
this is skilled labor
Right,
that we have here. We actually
exactly.
have a highly skilled
Right.
manufacturing labor force, and not just, you know,
Uh,
not something that you think of from
from
100 years ago.
right.
Right.
When the
You had
industrial
children do it.
when the Industrial Revolution started. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think there's some concern that um that technology will take over. But for me, what I think about is, yes, technology takes a piece, but we also have to have humans fix that technology. We have to have humans run that
Sure.
technology, program that technology, so the skills become different.
Right.
The jobs become different. I think about that in the healthcare world. You know, we still employ many, many people, but we use much, much technology to do the things that we do today.
For sure.
So it's just changed the jobs. It's made it more skilled, more thoughtful, more conceptual, those sorts of things. But I don't think people realize that we are per capita #1 in the state of Texas for manufacturing, and what we actually have here, where it goes, and what it does. That's fascinating to me. That's always fascinating. And so one of the things that we've started is we take the council and then some of our staff, and they get to go in the manufacturers
Mhm.
so they can see what's happening and get an idea so they can become ambassadors and tell people about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? And if you
That's
ever did Leadership Seguin, you'd get to go and see
I would
too.
get to do that. Now, do I have to actually live in Seguin to do it?
No, you do not.
Really?
Mm-mm.
So I mean, I live
Even you could do
even
it.
me
Even you could do
could
it.
do it.
You would learn. I'll never forget. I was in the 3rd class, Leadership Seguin, and I was in the class with a gentleman who'd been born and raised here, probably 4th or 5th generation here.
Yeah.
And he looked at me one day and he goes, "I've learned things I didn't even know were here." And that was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, that for me was so telling.
Right.
For him to say, I didn't have a clue what we had here. And I think the same thing today. Different level, different stuff, different
sure.
things, but exact same. So that's what I tell people is I don't think we realize what we have here. When the first art community, and I don't think that people realize what an incredible art community we have in Seguin and all the artists that we have either. Because when we began Third Thursdays years and years ago, we pulled all the artists, we asked them to all come together for a meeting. And I heard people say, I didn't realize we had that many people in town who could do art. I didn't know she was an artist. I didn't know we had artists here.
Yeah.
Again, so I think it's those things that are really exciting and that I want people to know about.
And we have a symphony.
Yes, which is incredible, by the way.
Yes.
Mhm.
Fantastic
It's
organization.
yes, it's fantastic. We have many things. Our mariachis are really good. The programs in our schools are incredible that they're doing and creating kids that can hold their space and are self-starters and are proud. It's fascinating to me.
Well, we have some new partnerships that are coming online in the not too distant future with Texas State Technical College,
Mhm.
with Seguin ISD, I
That's
believe,
right.
and
Mhm.
probably with Navarro ISD students. So that'll be exciting.
And TLU is involved in that because if someone is already in a field and they want to continue their education, TLU has really looked at how can we make that happen. So again, about choice,
Yeah.
about how can we enroll our students and create those pathways for those advanced type of degrees, but you have choice in which where you want to go. So you want to do something in 6 months, you want to do something in 18 months, then you want to go on for a 4-year degree or even an advanced degree. those things are available in our community, and we're working really hard to do those things.
Those are great resources just right here in Seguin. I mean, and how
Texas
unusual in
is
such a small,
Well, we worked hard.
such a small community to have
begged.
resources like that.
We worked really hard with Texas State Technical College.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that we really wanted within our region, in our area, because we knew it would be a game changer for our economics, to be honest with you.
Oh, and those jobs are, I mean, those
they
are
pay.
exploding.
I tell people this all the
There's
time.
so much need.
My family would just love to hear me say this, but I'm the only one who graduated from college in my immediate family, and I'm the only one still working. That should say
It
volumes.
says something, doesn't it?
That says something. They're all off doing other things, and it's
Yeah.
because of their trade and their technology. It has nothing to do advanced education. And so I find that fascinating. And so and my older nephews and nieces are the exact same way. I mean, they're just all very technical, very trade oriented, and they're living life and doing wonderful things. And I still work for money and insurance.
There you go. Well, Mayor Dodgen, I want to ask one last thing. Actually, let me, did I forget anything I need to ask?
Oh,
Mayor want to be mayor.
I think she's kind of answered that.
it's because
whenever
people
she-
ask me. I'll tell you why. This one all I gotta do is ask. People hear me talk about this all the time. People ask me all
Well,
the
let
time.
me set up the question
Okay,
real
go ahead.
quick. So, Mayor, let me ask you then, what made you want to become mayor?
So I got asked, and I answered this. People ask me all the time, and I talk about volunteerism in service, and it's you just got to ask. Just have to ask. Yes, I was voluntold to a degree. Betty Ann Mathis, who was a director of nurses at a time when I worked at the hospital here in town, and she caught me at 8 o'clock in the morning, no makeup, hair not done, taking my dad because he shopped at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning at our grocery store. And she caught me. I'm in the milk aisle at H-E-B, and here she comes with her cart, and she hems me in. It's the old H-E-B. Hems me in and says, "You will run for council." And I went, "I don't know about that." And she goes, "You will run for council. It's time for you to do something like that." And so I think you have mentors in your world that help you move in a direction.
Yeah.
But you also have service that you've already done. And that's what I did when I came to town. We've always done service work. I've always volunteered and done things. And so that just started it. And then someone asked, will you run for mayor? And I was like, okay, I'll be glad to. The other thing is that at that point in time, I had gone, this is an interesting story. I'd gone to a conference, and had been talking about one of the topics was the number of women in politics worldwide. And I was involved in an organization whose mission is to advance the status of women and looking at advocacy and women's issues and those sorts of things. And we were talking about politics and the number of women in politics. And at that point in time, worldwide, there wasn't a lot on the stage. And so when I got home, my husband turned to me and he said, "You're really not going to run for mayor?" And I went, guess that was God's little way of saying, this is what's going to happen now. And so that's what happened. I got asked, basically, and got mentored. And service was already there.
Sure.
And so it was easy, and I loved this community. My husband, who was alive at the time, was born and raised here, so he had an incredible wealth of knowledge. He had a love for it already, and he was like the right-hand person. He was the perfect person to be an aid to that and to do that sort of thing. So
Sure.
So that's how it occurred. Somebody just friggin' asked.
Asked, told.
Yeah, voluntold, asked. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's okay, because I think we all need mentors. We all need people who help us do those things.
And push us.
Well,
Yeah.
to
Not in a bad way, but
affirm a gift that you might already have.
There you go. Sometimes that's easier for other people to see than it is for us, isn't it?
All the time it is.
Yeah.
I never see my gifts. It's always the worst. We would laugh about, you'd have an evaluation, and I may have 300 people who gave me an evaluation, but the one that was bad better be on top, because that's the only one I'm going to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked hard not doing that. But it's hard to do. It's hard to do.
So, Mayor, what is it? And this is the question that always puts people on the spot, and they don't want to answer it necessarily. And I know you have to be diplomatic in your answer, so we'll give you some grace on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
But I want to know what's your favorite thing in Seguin? What's your favorite thing?
Food. I love food.
You
I
love
don't have any
the
problem
food.
telling you what I love. I love food. And I love to eat, and I love the different things that we have. I love that the Abbott House is going to have wine pairings and all this menu and food now. I love
Which
that.
we just interviewed you.
Yeah.
She just interviewed them.
It's,
Melissa did.
yeah. Those girls are amazing.
Yeah.
Young. Yeah. I love that 1908 does different food things and has those events. I've gone to Pecan Town and we've done chocolate and wine tasting from a chocolatier out of San Antonio. I mean, those sorts of things excite me. I love the fact I have a friend who always says, well, what's your favorite food? I don't really have a favorite food because I can find something I like everywhere I go. I love food.
There you go.
So I love that. I love the availability. I love that there's always something to do because I hear people, or I used to, I don't anymore because there's lots to do, but I used to hear people say, there's nothing to do in town. There's always something to do. I mean, I have two other things to do tonight.
Yeah.
One of them is at the schoolyard, those sorts of things. Tomorrow night, there's a play that's happening. Saturday, there's Fiber Art Festival. We're beginning our Concert in the Park series. I mean, there's things to do, or you can stay home and be as well. That's okay too. That's what this community is about. So those are my favorite things in town, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is definitely a community now where, whereas it used to be a community where, we kind of empty out on the weekends
Right,
and whatnot. Not anymore. Now people are coming here.
Well, so Friday nights downtown on Austin and Court Street are fascinating to me, because there's people out and about and doing things.
Yeah.
We have brunches available now. Again, food, back to food. I love food. So I love that sort of thing. I love that at Freedom Fiesta, we may have 20 food trucks and I can eat at about 15 of them before I get real full. But those sorts of things are pretty darn incredible that we didn't have 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So those are some of my favorite things, to be honest with you. You didn't put me on the spot. That was easy.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, next time I'll have to think of a harder question for you.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to work up to that.
There's many other things, but those are some of my favorite things. That's one of my favorite things to do is I love to eat.
That's awesome. Well, me too. And so we have that in common. Maybe we'll have to connect sometime and go out and check out those food trucks.
Yeah. Oh, the ones at Freedom Festival will be wonderful because there'll be some from here, but there'll be some from elsewhere too.
Yeah.
And we have personal chefs in town now where we didn't have those before. So you can always find somebody to come and do some things. I had somebody just the other day call and say, hey, I need somebody for a dinner party. Okay. I've got about 2 or 3 people I can send to you. Here you go.
That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Those are fun things to do.
That is fun.
Yeah. So they're doable.
Well, Mayor Dodgen, thank you so much for joining us on what you have now dubbed as the Seguin Podcast.
That's right, the Seguin Podcast.
We thank you for that, and I greatly appreciate your time. It was just a pleasure to meet you and get to know you a little bit here.
Thank you, and if there's anything we can do or that you want to know about or something comes up that's of interest of you, please let us know, because I personally think that sharing information on multiple different platforms is the way to go, and is to build trust. I don't ever want anyone to think that we do things the same way as some other place in our world or our feds or our state may do it, because we are Seguin, Texas, and we do it our way and we do it hometown. The city is nonpartisan because the city is our party.
Right.
We may have different ways and beliefs and usual ways that we operate, but my party is my city, and that's where building that trust and building that relationship is so very, very important, because it's not like everywhere else, and I want everyone moving in to feel that way.
Well said. Well said. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode here of Discover Seguin, apparently the Seguin podcast. We appreciate you joining us, and if you want to see more of this, be sure to do that, like, subscribe, and whatever the things is that you do on those various platforms. I'm David Pope, your host, and please come and join us next time. Thank you.